My name is Kate, and I'm 40 years old. I've been married to my husband, Max, who was a colleague of mine, for 10 years. We used to be in the same department, but now we're in different branches. Max is responsible and well-liked by his subordinates. He's a bit prideful and doesn't like to show weakness, confident and brimming with masculinity. He's admired by his superiors and is expected to rise in his career. In contrast, I am a more reserved and plain type of person. Max's intense pursuit of me was surprising due to our opposite personalities. 2 years into our relationship, Max proposed to me with a huge bouquet of roses. Having never been so loved by a man, I accepted his proposal immediately. I was excited about our future together, looking forward to a wonderful life. However, what awaited me was living with my in-laws. There was no prior discussion, and although I wanted to refuse, Max was adamant about it. My parents are nice, it'll be fine. Max enthusiastically explained how much his parents were looking forward to living with us, so I couldn't refuse. For the past 10 years, we've been living with my in-laws at Max's family home. Living there was far from what I had imagined when we got married. Kate, you forgot to clean the entrance again. As soon as I finished making breakfast for everyone, my Mel started her daily complaints. It's a regular occurrence every morning. I'm sorry. Less words, more actions. Do it right now if you understand. Even though I have to go to work, I'm treated like a servant every morning. For the past 10 years, I've been getting up at 5 a.m. every day to make breakfast and clean. Mill is at home all day, she could do it herself. Mill, being a housewife, has plenty of time at home but doesn't do any housework. After rushing through morning chores, I go to work and then immediately start making dinner when I get home. By the time I go to bed, I'm exhausted and pass out. This routine has left me worn out and often unwell. This stress is likely the cause. I don't want the neighbors to think we're slacking, so clean properly. Mill relaxes in the living room, eating the breakfast I made. Hurry up, or you'll be late for work. Max never defended me, even witnessing this daily routine. My Phil hides behind his newspaper, pretending not to see anything. Since moving in with my in-laws, I've been severely mistreated as a DIL. This stress has caused my weight to plummet, making me look unhealthy. You look so skinny and pathetic. No wonder you can't bear children with that body. Due to sudden weight loss, I lost my periods and couldn't conceive. Mill blames me for this, despite being the cause. Before marriage, I took care of my appearance and was healthy. Now, I don't recognize myself. This stress and seeing my reflection make me deeply depressed. I become completely submissive to Mill. I've lost all motivation and can't even think about leaving. Then, I received tragic news. My father had suddenly passed away in an accident. I hadn't visited my parents' home in a long time because Mill and Max criticized me whenever I wanted to go. Hearing about my father's death, I regretted not seeing him more. My parents' home is about an hour's drive from Max's family home. Since it wasn't far, I asked Mill and Max to come to my father's funeral. My father's funeral is coming up. So, we're not going. Just keep it your family affair. They cut me off before I could finish. I never imagined they could be so heartless. Shaking with anger and sorrow, I simply replied, "Understood." Many people came to my father's funeral. He ran his own business and had many connections. Everyone was in tears, showing how much he was loved. "Kate, it's been so long, but why are you so thin?" Seeing me for the first time in a while, my mother was shocked at my appearance. "Oh, it's nothing. Are you sick? I can't bear losing you too." Thinking I was ill, Mother started crying. Given her fragile state after father's death, it was understandable. "I'm not sick. Don't worry." I calmed my distraught mother and took a break in the waiting room. "If you're not sick, then what's wrong?" I thought about my interactions with Mill and Max. Even with my father's death, they didn't offer a single kind word. Anger boiled within me, and I decided to tell my mother about my life with the in-laws. "Actually, I've been mistreated by my Mill. I'm just really tired." As I spoke with my head down, Mother looked at me with concern. "I'm glad you're not sick, but I can't be at ease knowing this. Is that why you haven't visited?" "Yay." Nodding, Mother handed me a piece of paper. "Read this yourself and think about what to do next. It was my father's will. Being meticulous, he had left a will just in case. It included details about inheritance. He left me $20 million. $20 million. Yes, you can decide how to use it. The amount was staggering, and my eyes widened. I saw hope for leaving the in-laws. With this, I can build a house and move out. Thanks to my father's legacy, my life seemed to brighten. I returned to the in-laws' home and did my usual chores. On days when I had plans, the house was messier than usual. With no one else to clean, no wonder why. As I did the chores, I thought about the $20 million I inherited. Despite my resentment towards Mill, I wanted to stay with Max. I decided to be honest about the inheritance and suggest moving out. I need to talk to you. After Mill and Phil went to bed, I began speaking with Max alone. Talk. Yes, about my father. I inherited his estate. Oh, how much? $20 million. Hearing the amount, Max was dumbfounded by the sheer number. What did you say? I said $20 million. Realizing what I said, my husband was overjoyed. He left us that much. That's amazing. About how to use it. As he became more cheerful, I got to the main point. But before I could speak, my husband said something shocking. Then we need to transfer that money to Mom's account right away. I couldn't understand his words. It was so absurd that I thought he was joking. No way, why? I inherited it, so that's not right. I laughed as I spoke, but he slammed the table. What nonsense are you talking about? A wife's money belongs to her Mill. He didn't think he was saying anything wrong. I was terrified by his serious expression. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. I just wanted to talk about building a house for us. But he wouldn't listen and wanted to give my inheritance to his mother. I was so shocked I couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, as I was making breakfast, Max and Mill approached me angrily. Kate, I heard you inherited $20 million and refused to give it to us. What do you think you're doing? Mill had already heard about the inheritance from Max. But I inherited it. Stop arguing and transfer it to my parents' account now. As a wife, your money is the family's money. They were determined to take the inheritance by force. No matter how much I refused, they kept pressuring me. Thinking resistance was futile, I stayed silent, and Max showed me a piece of paper. You're getting too cocky because of the money. I've been supporting you, and this is how you act. If you don't change your mind, we'll divorce. It was a divorce paper. I've already signed it. Take it and go back to your parents' house. If you apologize properly, maybe we won't divorce. He handed me the signed divorce papers. Looking at the papers, memories flooded back. I was never supported in this house. I paid the same amount for living expenses as Max and did all the housework. They never took care of me. Yet, the two of them always looked down on me. Now, they were trying to take my father's money. If I stayed, I might give in to their demands. But my father left this money for me. Being told to leave was actually a chance. With the signed divorce papers, I had the power to decide my future. I swore I wouldn't give up the inheritance and made a decision. After work that day, I went back to my parents' house. I'm home. Welcome back. Somehow, I felt you'd come back soon. Mother smiled gently and welcomed me warmly. The table was filled with her home-cooked dishes. It had been so long since I had a meal cooked by someone else. As I tasted the warm food, tears welled up from its deliciousness. Did you tell your husband about the inheritance? Yes, and it caused a big mess. I told my mother everything that Max and Mill said. The shocking details left her speechless. The inheritance is yours, and you get to decide your future. She gently patted my shoulder as I wept. After spending a week at my parents' house, I decided to return to the in-laws' house. I'm heading out now. Take care. I no longer felt scared to return to that house. I headed back to the in-laws' house with a clear mind. Finally back. Have you reflected? Max and Mill stood waiting for me with their arms crossed. Yes, I'm sorry. Please let me live here again. I offered a superficial apology. Mill smirked in response. Then hand over the inheritance quickly. The process is taking time. I don't have it yet. It's complicated, and it might take over 6 months. It'll take that long. Fine. Both Mill and Max seemed satisfied, thinking I would eventually hand over the inheritance. However, they constantly nagged me about my week away. The house is a mess because you neglected your duties as a wife. Fix it quickly. The house was filthy and chaotic after just 1 week. Their ability to create such a mess in a short time was impressive. Understood. The old me would have been deeply depressed seeing this state, but now I felt different. No matter how much Mill mistreated me or how hard the chores were, it didn't bother me. I did the chores as ordered by Mill. 10 months later, it was Mill's birthday. I'm heading out. Keep the house clean. Mill always went on trips for her birthday. Of course, I was never invited. By the way, has the inheritance come through? It's supposed to arrive today. Perfect. The $20 million is my birthday gift. Make sure it's in my account by the time we get back. There was no way the inheritance would arrive on her birthday. Max couldn't see through my lie. Without responding, I smiled and said, "Have a safe trip." Once they were out of sight, I started executing my plan. I had been waiting for this day. They would be shocked upon returning from their trip, but it was no longer my concern. I quickly packed my things and left the in-laws' house. Well, amazing. I moved my belongings into my new home. I had built a house with my father's inheritance. I'm so happy to live in such a beautiful home. I decided to invite my mother to live with me. Not having to worry about those people anymore makes me so happy. I sank into the plush sofa, feeling content. Today, Mother and I are celebrating the new house. We hired a chef and had a luxurious day. The next evening, I got a call from Max. "Hey, what's going on?" He must have been confused finding all my things gone. "I'm not coming back. Goodbye." As I was about to hang up, Mill shouted from the other side. "What are you thinking? Where are you?" "I can't tell you that. I was told to clean up, so I packed my things." "This isn't funny. And you haven't transferred the inheritance. How many times do I have to tell you, a wife's money is mine?" "Excuse me, I'm single." Mill went silent. "Single? Well, divorced. I filed the papers you gave me. We're no longer related. Goodbye." I said that and hung up the phone. Imagining Mill's stunned expression on the other end of the line made me laugh uncontrollably. Being free from that family lifted a huge weight off my shoulders. After that, my ex-husband called me multiple times. I answered only when I had time, listening to his and Mill's rants. I recorded all the calls. I took the recordings to the police officer. Harassment from an ex is not uncommon. We'll issue a warning before it escalates. Thankfully, the police acted quickly and warned my former in-laws. The visit alone was a significant blow to their reputation. Max's colleagues saw the police and spread the word. As Max was well known at work, rumors spread fast. Colleagues who disliked him amplified the gossip, tarnishing his reputation. Soon, the rumors reached my department. I heard the police were involved. I'm divorced, so I don't know. Divorced, yes. Mill's bullying and Max's verbal abuse were terrible. I spoke loudly enough for others to hear. The gossip-loving employees spread the rumors even more. It didn't take long for the news to reach Max's boss. "Max, I've heard some troubling rumors." "What?" "Oh, it's nothing. I despise men who can't treat their wives right. These rumors damage our reputation. You're being transferred." The transfer order given to my ex-husband was harsh. "What? Here?" It was the worst-performing regional branch, known as an isolated area with no entertainment. You understand what this means, right? Everything my ex-husband had built up crumbled, and he had no chance of promotion. He couldn't refuse the order and moved to the remote location. As for Mill, she was shocked by her son's demotion and their separation. She became completely reclusive, which led to her developing depression. She often acted out violently at home, showing signs of dementia. My former Phil is desperately caring for the drastically changed Mill. Even if there's no blood relation, a DIL is still an important family member. The harassment they inflicted on me came back to them. Now, I'm living happily with my mother. We've started gardening in our large yard. If I'd stayed in that house, I would never have discovered this wonderful hobby. This new hobby has brought me joy and vitality. This stress-induced frailness has been replaced by health and vigor. Cutting ties with my former in-laws has made me very happy.